Imagine a world where AI agents seamlessly collaborate, share tasks, and solve complex problems autonomously. What if you could build intelligent systems where these agents work together in harmony, tackling challenges and executing workflow with ease? Now, let me tell you about a framework called as CrewAI, which is here to turn that vision into reality. So, whether you are automating workflows, managing multi agent systems, or orchestrating complex processes, Crew AI brings you the power of intelligent automation at your fingertips. Now, if you want to learn how to build multi agent systems, then watch this video till the end. But before we move on, here is the agenda of our today's session. So guys, in this tutorial, we are going to explore how to leverage Crew AI to create powerful AI systems using agents, flows, and tasks. And we are going to break down the steps involved and compare CrewAI with similar frameworks like LangChain and LangGraph. So first of all, we are going to explore what is CrewAI, then we are going to do a comparison with CrewAI versus LangChain versus LangGraph. Then after that, we are going to install CrewAI. After that, we are going to build an AI agent with CrewAI. Then moving ahead, we are going to understand the task and how to define them. And finally, we are going to understand very crucial point, that is managing workflows with flows in CrewAI. And all of these things will be done with practical implementation and real world examples. Now, before we move ahead, here is a short quiz to test your knowledge. What is the primary purpose of Crew AI in AI development? And your options are to train machine learning models, to create multi-agent systems and manage workflows, to visualize data in graphs, or to generate reports based on existing AI models. Please mention your answers in the comment section below. Now, before we move on, just a quick info, guys. Simplilearn has got professional certificate program in generative AI and machine learning. You're going to learn from IIT faculty and industry expert, and also you're going to attend master classes delivered by IIT Guwahati faculty. And you are going to also experience campus immersion at IIT Guwahati, get executive alumni status from ENICT Academy, IIT Guwahati. And this course is in collaboration with IBM. So guys, hurry up now and join the course. The course link is mentioned in the description box. So let's get started. So guys, let us first try to understand what exactly is CrewAI. So guys, CrewAI is an open source framework for building AI agents that work together on tasks. If you could see, I'm open the official documentation of CrewAI. And if you read this, it says that CrewAI describes itself as a framework for orchestrating autonomous agents and complex workflows with two core ideas. Now, there is something called as crew flows and crews. What is a crew? A crew is a team of agents collaborating on work, while flow is a structured, event-driven workflow that controls how that work is going to happen. In simple words, think of it like as one AI agent that can act like a researcher and another like a writer. And also you can consider one like a reviewer. So these three performing different tasks becomes a team. Now let's say if they all work together. So Crew AI helps you define their roles, give them tools, and make them coordinate to finish bigger job together. Now, here, if you go through this documentation, the team of Crew AI says that agents can use tools, maintain memory, collaborate with other agents, and delegate tasks when allowed. Now, you would be wondering why people use Crew AI. So, one of the main reasons is you can use Crew AI such that it could work like a research assistant or a report generation, or if you are working on some customer support workflows, or if you're creating any data analysis pipelines, and if you have multi-step business automation thing going on, you can use CrewAI. And CrewAI CrewAI proves very powerful in this scenario. One useful point is that CrewAI positions itself as a Python framework for production-ready multi-agent systems. And its GitHub report describes it as a built independently rather than on the top of LangChain. So in a very easy way, if I have to tell you, then you can think of CrewAI as a framework that lets multiple AI agents act like a team, where each agent has a role and they work together to complete a task. So I hope so guys, you would have got a brief idea regarding CrewAI. Now, let us try to see this diagram and understand the CrewAI architecture. So in this diagram, you can see there is code, there is crew, and there is something called as state. Now, this is actually a flow system in CrewAI, which provides finer control and decision power and also precision over AI agent tasks. Let's break it down, all of these concepts one by one. So first off, let's have a look on state management. What it does, guys, actually this allows a system to maintain a state of the process over time. It means that the system can remember data, variables, or decisions that occurred in previous steps, and you can use them in later stages of the process. For example, guys, you can imagine a multi-step process where an AI agent is helping you order a product online. Now, in the first step, what is going to happen is that the agent is going to collect your preferences. For example, what product type you are looking for, what is the price range. And in the next step, it might use this information to suggest options. The state would store the user preferences and process them as the agent moves. Now, next up, we have also a very important concept about event-driven execution. Now, what this exactly means. So guys, this is a component that triggers specific actions based on certain events or inputs that happen during the flow execution. You can think of it like a listener that waits for specific conditions before proceeding with the next step. For example, guys, let's say you have an AI agent that is part of a customer service flow. Now, if the user provides feedback, for example, like I'm not happy with the product, then the event-driven system will trigger an action to escalate the issue to support an agent. Without event-driven execution, the flow would just continue without reacting to the customer's feedback. Next up, we have something called as control flow. Now, what is control flow, guys? Actually, this is something where you define the logic that how it's going to control the AI agent and how it's going to work through the process. It uses conditional logics, loops, and branching to decide to the next step. It's like telling to the system, if X happens, then do Y, otherwise do Z. Let me give you a real life scenario. Let's say if you have a product recommendation system and here you have branching. Let's say if the user selects shoes in the category, then the AI flow of that branch is going to suggest shoes. And if the user selects shirts, then it branches to the suggested shirts. And if I talk about loops in this scenario, let's say if the user hasn't found a product they like after 3 suggestions, the system could loop back and show alternative recommendations. So in this architecture, how these all things fit together. So basically, you can understand in such a way that they are represented by logical steps or scripts written for each stage of the process. For example, the code that runs the recommendation process, the decision-making code, and all of those things. Now, here, if you could see the crew, so crew represents a team of agents or the sub-processes that work on the task. For example, one crew might handle product selection while another handles the recommendation engine. Now, here, if you look at the state, as mentioned, this is where the data is stored and managed, ensuring that the previous decision and inputs are preserved across multiple steps in the process. And if I have to sum up the entire process to understand this respective flow, so you can understand something like this, guys. Let's say, imagine you are building an AI-driven online shopping assistant. So initial step is going to be what? It's going to be code plus crew. And the system asks for your preferences, for example, the type of product, what is your budget and all that. And if you look onto the state, the preferences are stored for the future use of the user. And the execution happens in an event-driven way. So as a system presents the option, you click on an item that's called as event, and it triggers the next action showing the item's detail. And if the details aren't satisfactory, the flow loops back to show other products. And if you're happy, it moves out to the checkout page. So you can understand the flow of the execution happening in this way. And also, guys, if you look into this diagram, here the flows, if you are seeing, it actually provides the structured precision needed to ensure that these are the components to interact seamlessly, which allows for dynamic interactive experience where AI agents collaborate efficiently based on the defined states, event, and logic. So I hope so, guys, you would have got the idea regarding this flow, how CrewAI orchestrates. Now, one of the most important thing I would like to discuss with you, how CrewAI is different from LangChain and now, guys, if I look at LangChain and LangGraph, they serve different purposes, but they all contribute to building AI agents that can handle complex tasks. For example, let's go first to the CrewAI. So what is the purpose of CrewAI if you ask me? I would say that CrewAI is actually designed for building multi-agent systems where multiple AI agents collaborate and work together to complete a task. It is identical for orchestrating autonomous agents that can execute tasks in parallel or sequentially, making it useful for real-world applications like customer service bots, research assistants, or automated workflows. Now, what are the key features available if you use CrewAI, guys? The first thing is multi-agent collaboration. The first is multi-agent collaboration. So guys, CrewAI focuses on orchestrating multiple agents that can work together in parallel, passing tasks between the agents. And here if you see these flows, they offer flow-based architectures where agents follow a sequence of steps triggered by specific conditions or events as we have discussed. And they also have the state management thing which ensures that the agent remembers the context or data between the steps, which enables them to work efficiently in complex scenario. And all of these processes are event-driven execution, means it is going to trigger actions based on the specific events or inputs from users or external systems. And you have finer precision control. You use control flows, for example, like conditional logic, loops, or branching to manage how agents proceed through tasks. One more way to understand this way, let's say if there are a team of agents which are working on customer support automation system problem, where let's say one agent is handling ticket creation, another agent is processing queries, third is escalating issues if necessary. So all of this is possible and you can easily execute this with CrewAI. Now let us look at LangChain, how LangChain is different from CrewAI. So guys, LangChain is also a framework that is designed for building applications that involve language models, particularly the large language models, or we call as LLMs. It integrates with external tools and APIs to build robust workflows for LLM-driven applications such as chatbots, document retrieval systems, and many more. And you easily see they have an integration with LLMs. For example, LangChain allows you to easily interact with and also use LLMs such as GPT models for various tasks. Then you have something called as chains and agents. So LangChain provides chains, which are a series of prompts passed to a model sequentially. And agents, here if you could see, where AI systems are there that can make decisions or take actions. And one more good thing about LangChain is they also have built-in support for memory, where system remembers the past conversation of interactions to improve performance over the time. And actually LangChain also integrates tools. You can use external tools like databases, web scrapings, API, calculator, etc. to extend its capabilities. Then you also use LangChain for prompt engineering purpose. Here you can include powerful prompt management to manage input-output formatting and handle multi-steps of a process seamlessly. One good example I would like to tell you how you can use LangChain. Let's say if you are building up a question answering system which utilizes LangChain to query documents and generate responses from an LLM. Now, how is this possible? So as compared to the CrewAI, so LangChain is focused primarily on building intelligent systems using LLM and integrating with them other tools like managing prompt flows also. Now, this is more suited for natural language processing tasks, whereas if you talk about CrewAI, it is designed for multi-agent coordination and more complex event-driven workflows. Now, let us look at LangGraph, guys. You would be wondering what exactly is LangGraph. So this is also a framework which is designed to enable graph-based reasoning and decision-making using language models. It is intended to be used for building multi-step workflows, but instead of relying on sequential chains like LangChain. So LangGraph organizes the workflows as graph where each node represents a step and edges represents relationships or action based on those steps. Now, what are the key features of these things? Actually, there is a graph-based architecture, unlike LangChain, which uses linear chain. And LangGraph uses graph-based models where nodes represent tasks and edges represent relationship between them. And this makes it highly flexible for handling branching-based workflows. So, in this, you also get state representation. Here, LangGraph allows you to track the state of your workflow at different nodes, offering deeper insight into how tasks evolve and interact. And you have visual graph representation, where LangGraph often includes tools for visualizing the workflow, making it easier to debug and optimize. Then you have complex decision trees in this, where LangGraph excels in building workflows that require decisions based on past data or context. And it enables complex decision trees and logic also. One good example I would like to tell you, for example, a recommendation system that uses LangGraph to decide which product to suggest based on user interaction. And with each product recommendation, decision branching is based on the previous selection. Now, if you compare this with CrewAI, so you saw that CrewAI focuses on multi-agent collaboration, but LangGraph is focused more on graph-based task organization. And there are a lot of decision-making processes involved. So LangGraph is ideal when you need highly flexible branching flows, while CrewAI you can use for those tasks where agents need to collaborate and share state across steps. So, in nutshell, these were some of the major differences between these three frameworks, and you can explore them on their official documentation. And it's a pretty interesting framework. Now, let us get back to CrewAI and proceed for the installation step. So, guys, in this tab, if you could see, there is an installation tab all over here. Now, before you install CrewAI, make sure there are certain prerequisites that you need to have on your system. Make sure that you have Python 3 installed on your system. So let's open CMD all over here. And let's first verify that you have Python 3 installed. So I'll just check Python 3 version. And you can see I have Python 3.12.5. Now, if you don't have Python 3, what you can do is just go to Python download. You will be directed toward the official website of the Python, and just click all over here and just see on the download. You can just see download Python manager, or you can just click all over here and your download will proceed. Now, since I already have installed, but my version is not 3.14, you'll get the latest one, and 3.12 is also pretty much fine. If you're having, it is going to do the task. Now, in the next step, you need a dependency management framework to be installed on your system. We are not going to use pip for installing your CrewAI because the official documentation does not suggest that. So you need to have UV installed on your system. So just type this thing, install UV. Let's say just type this, and you can see the Astral Docs one is the official documentation for using the UV as a dependency management system. And if you are at Windows, just copy this respective command, open PowerShell and execute this. And your UV will be installed. Now, if you're using Mac OS or Linux, then you have to use curl all over here. So make sure that you have curl installed on your Windows or Linux. Now, just type this first command, which is curl-lssf https astral sh, and if you don't have curl, you can use wget, and you can just copy this thing, or you can if you are including any specific URL or version of that, you can use this. So this is the respective steps. Just follow this, and it's kind of very much easier to proceed with that. Now, you can also install UV all over here with pipx if you are having pipx on your system, or you can even install with using pip. To pip install UV and you would have UV installed. Now, let's get back to the CrewAI installation, guys. Now, before utilizing this respective framework, let us create a project structure, and I'm going to use VS Code for this demonstration. So let's say I give this name as CrewAI, okay? And I'll just open this with VS Code, and let's delete this first. Okay, it might take some time. So what I'm going to do, I'm open a new window, and here I'm going to open CrewAI folder. So open a folder, just click on this, and after this on the dock, you can see this. Just open this. Okay. Now I have CrewAI installed. Let me close the another tab which I have opened. Fine. Now this looks pretty much cleaner. Now in the next step, what I'm going to do is, first of all, I'm going to open my terminal. So you can go to the view and you can open terminal all over here. So now first of all, what I need to do is all over here that we are going to install your CrewAI. So first we're going to wait for some time till it detects the project structure. Now let us go to the official documentation of CrewAI, and you can see after this on let's say on Windows, it uses first of all to install CrewAI. This is the respective thing. So UV tool install CrewAI. Just copy this, guys, and since I've got the project directory, I'll just install it using. Now you can see it has started installing all these respective dependencies, and it is also going to create demo folder structure also for us. Let us wait for a couple of time. So guys, it might take some time. So you can see there are 50 dependencies that needs to be installed, and we are at 42 right now. It's nearly done, guys. Okay, and we are going to see that our CrewAI has been installed right way. So all these packages are very much important for this respective project. Now you can see we have perfectly installed CrewAI, and on our systems all the tools have been installed. Now let us proceed to the official documentation, and let's see to verify that CrewAI is installed or not. We could just type this command uv tool list. So let's try to execute this command, and you can see it CrewAI is perfectly installed on our system, and it says the version is 1.11.1. So guys, our installation is complete, and congratulations. If you are at this step, then you are on the very first go of working towards multi-agent systems. Now let me close these things, and let's try to refresh this a little bit. Okay, fine. Now let us move to the official documentation, and let us try to see the other commands. So let's say if you want to update your CrewAI, just type this respective command. So UV tool install CrewAI and upgrade. Now let us try to create a CrewAI project. So let us copy this respective command, and then after that we are going to see this kind of project structure. So for all over here, I would say just type this. So CrewAI, crew your project name. Let's say my project name is let's call it as CRM assistant, and just click on this, and after this CrewAI is going to create the respective folder structure. It might take some time, guys, so let us wait. Now guys, you can see all over here what is the respective provider to set up. Let's select one. So I'm going to use OpenAI, and let's say the model I'm going to use is, let's say, GPT-4. So I'll just select one, and here guys you will be prompted for your OpenAI API key. So let me also show you how to use your OpenAI API key. Just go to the OpenAI platform, and after that from here you can fetch your respective API key. Bro, just blur these things. Now guys, when you go to the OpenAI API platform, here you can see on the dashboard, create a new secret. If you want to use existing API key, then you can use it. But I'm going to create a new API key all over here, and let's call it as CrewAI, to make sure whenever I want to use any demo, I can use this API key. And make sure to give your permissions based on, let's say, if you want to read and write. So there are a couple of permissions you can just give it. So I'm going to give all the permission because I'm just using for demo. And let's copy our respective API key. Done. Now let us paste our respective OpenAI API key. Bro, blur this also. So guys, after pasting this API key, just click enter, and you can see our API key has been saved, and we have selected model GPT-4, and it has created these respective files. So let's first clear our terminal to make it look a little bit cleaner, and let us look at the folder structure. Now in the folder structure, you have a folder directory called as knowledge, where you have user preference or text. So this is a sample thing. So let's say the user preference, let's say it has given some information. Let's say the username is John Doe, user is an AI engineer, user is interested in AI agents, and user is based in San Francisco, California. Now after this, you would look onto the SRC section, and you can find these folder configs and tools. Now if you look onto the configs, these are the configuration files. First one, you have it for agents.yml configuration file. So let me show you what is exactly been there. So you can see it has given one role as researcher. So for example, any topic, let's say it's a senior data researcher. What is the goal? Uncover cutting edge developments, and then you need to add a topic variable, which it might takes it from the other files. And it also gives you a backstory of how it is done. So it's saying, let's say if you are a seasoned researcher with a knack for uncovering the latest developments, so it's given there. Then there is another configuration like reporting analyst, topic reporting analyst, and the goal, and it has given the respective. Stuti, please can you just off this? Just look, the camera is fine.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
No, bro.
Now you can see in the agents.y, every assistant, or you can say the agent, has been given their role and their goal and what is their backstory. So just a little bit information about what that respective agents are going to do. Now in the task.yml, their respective task would be defined. For example, let's say the research task all over here is conduct thorough research about the respective topic, and it says if you find any relevant information, then this is your current year, and you can see what is the expected outputs. So in this, you can see it's written a list of 10 bullet points of the most relevant information about the respective topic, and whatever the topic is being given, the agent is going to use an LLM to find a respective answer. Then you can see in the reporting task, it has given the respective description, then review the context and of each topic. Then it says what is the expected output all over here, and it says it's a fully fledged report with the main topics and each with the full section of the information. And let's say the respective agent has been given. Let's say the first agent is researcher, second agent is reporting analyst. Now we have explored the config files. Let's see what tools they are using. So this is any empty file. So generally any Python file basically initializes with init.py. So you can just leave this file. Then there are custom tools defined all over here. Let's look at this respective file all over here. So you can see from CrewAI, it's framework, it's importing base tool, and from typing library, it's importing type. From Pydantic model, it's importing the base model and the feed. And you can see it's inheriting the base model all over here. So let's say it's the class is custom model input, and it's trying to define the input schema all over here. And let's say the string field, and it's giving the description. What is the description all over here? Then it defines a custom tool. It's also inheriting our base tool all over here, and here it's giving the name of the tool. What is the description? So it says it's a string, so which says clear the description for this tool is useful. Your agent will need this information to use it, so we have to add something all over here. And in this section, you have def run arguments, and you have to implement what goals you are having all over here. So this is your respective thing. Now then you have some file called as crew.ai. Repeat. I'll take a bit of time. I'll take around 15-20. You did not record yesterday. Okay, just give me a few minutes.
Hey, yeah, but I have. I have already said it was supposed to be recorded by EOD yesterday.
Okay, guys. So in this, respective thing, I would like to say the crew.py file, there is a crew file, and you can see we are using decorators all over here. We are defining the custom project. Let's say this is a CRM assistant, and here we have agents, here we have tasks, and here's a list of tasks that you have. This is the list of tasks that I have all over here. Then you have the agent decorator all over here. The function, it's defined researcher. So it's basically defining the agent all over here, and it's returning the agent. And you can see all over here, the agent is coming from the CrewAI.projects. And also, please make sure to look on to these respective things which are used in this project. So this is a very basic project, guys, and here we have given the configuration. Let's say config is researcher. Similarly, verbose true. Similarly goes for here for reporting analyst. So it is defining all the agents in the crew.py file, and it is returning the respective configuration. And also you can see it has defined a task decorator all over here. So you can see this is the research task. It is returning the respective task, which is coming from tasks.yml file, and similarly goes all over here. Then it is trying to creates the CRM assistant crew, which is going to perform all these respective tasks, and it is going to bind itself to the crew framework. So this was crew.py, guys, and this is your main file. So it's trying to run your respective agent all over here, and you have the respective inputs. Let's say you have the topic, AI LLMs. Let's say this is the current year, and it gives you date and time right now. Then you are using an exception framework, repeat. And then after that, you are using exception handling all over here. And finally, you're trying to train the crew for a number of iteration. Let's say the input topic is AI LLMs, current stream time, and try CRM assistant crew, and dev replay the crew execution. It is trying to test it also with the given inputs, let's say with the topics and AI LLM. And again, exception handling being done to make sure that our code is pretty much safe, what we are writing. Any abnormal behavior happens, so this try and catch or try and accept are going to handle those things. And finally, we are running with trigger. So you run the respective crew with the trigger payload. And if it says if the length is less than 2, you are going to raise exception. Then again, these are all trigger payloads that are happening. So ultimately, this is the respective thing, what's happening in this file. So I hope so you would have got a brief idea how this project looks like. Now let us refer to the official document, repeat. Now let us refer to the official documentations, and you can see it has defined all these files. So agents.yml, where all your AI agents will be there. Then you have tasks.yml, where you are going to set up all your agent tasks and workloads. .env file, if you want to store your API keys or environment variable. Generally, I hard-coded it, but repeat. Generally, I directly embedded my API key, but one of the process could be you could store your API keys in environment variable. That is a safe production practice. And after that, you could follow the crew orchestration and coordination, and then you could look for the custom directory for the custom tool agent, and you're going to have a directory of knowledge base also. So these were some of the basic project structure that we were actually focusing on. And how to run this project, that's also a great question. So if you could see the official documentation, it says CrewAI install. So before you run crew, so we have to make sure we try this command. So let's type this, and if you need any additional packages, you can just add uv add respective thing. And to execute our respective command after this, we need to type this. Now let us try this command first, and let's see what happens. So let's type this command, CrewAI install. So if any, so we have not added any dependencies file all over here. So that's why it's saying no project.toml file is found. Okay, fine. Let's try to run this. And after this, try running CrewAI run. And let's try to see what happens. Congratulations, our agent has run finally. And in my program, there were some couple of issues that were actually coming because I was using Python 3.12 version, but no worries. I needed to add a given package, so that was LanceDB. I'll show you what exactly I did. So I just added LanceDB, and make sure you are inside this folder structure. So if you are at your let's say at your home folder, then if you're running UV install and UV run, it's not going to work. So make sure you are inside this, and I added a LanceDB because this package was required. So on the terminal it was showing some error, so I just added this thing, and you can see we are getting the respected output. Now let us try to see the output what we are getting. So you can see the execution has started, name crew, and you're getting the ID, and let's say the task is started, name is research task with respective IDs, and you have the respective agent, and you have to conduct a thorough research, and let's say agent as a senior data researcher. What is the final answer given by this? So it's asking actually OpenAI's GPT, and it's giving you the respective answers. So amazing framework, guys. And if you are at this step, then you are actually at a very successful stage of creating a first agent. Now let us try to explore some of the other concepts also. So I would also ask you to try this activity. So you can see all over here you have your one agents to create. So it's here only. Let me see. Okay, so this is the first documentation in the quick start section of the tab, and you can see build your first CrewAI agent. Now whatever we did, you just have to do that, but there are some additional things like for example the roles for which you are creating, you need to write that, and you can change those things and try to experiment with those things. And in the task.yml, you can just add the respective tasks, try to play with it, and then based on that you have to write your respective decorators. Now if you don't know about decorators, look for our tutorial on decorators and Python full course, where you're going to get a brief idea regarding that. So it's very helpful in that scenario. Now guys, let us explore a bit about agents and how to design effective agents. That's also a big question. Now I would also request you to please refer the official documentation, because most of the ideas and the practices what you need to do will be coming all over here. But before that, I would also request you to have a very good foundational build up on Python's basic concepts, because if you are not well versed in Python, then using CrewAI as a framework might get a little bit difficult for you. So because you need to understand how to make the execution flows, how to write the conditionals, how to add decorators, how to add those configuration files, and all those respective things. Now you can see all over here that the reason why an agent design matters, because these are the respective parameter. Like you need to give a very good output quality, because let's say if you're giving any task which is very much important, then your output quality actually matters. And you need to have collaboration effectiveness, because when you're creating multiple agents, might be there will be a task where that multiple agents will be collaborating. So this should be very much effective in your design. And the next is how is the performance, and also how well your agent is giving the respective output. That also matters a lot. And when you are working on enterprise level solution where you have a very good customer base, so you need to also look into scalability aspect. So these are some of the things. Now let us see what is the 80-20 rule. So you can see all over here, it says that 80% of your effort should go into designing the task and 20% should go in defining the agents. So we have already seen all over here, like how did we define our respective agents. So if you go to the config file, in the config file agents.yml, so you have to clearly write your role, goal, and what is the backstory all over here, because this configuration should be very much important based on your task which you are providing to the agent. Now also with respect to that, you have to be specific, you have to align with the real world problem which you are trying to focus on, and what is the precision of the agent to do that task. And also you need to include a domain expertise. Now if you could look into our respective code, I've added the respective domain experts all over here which are doing their respective task. Now this is pretty much interesting. And next up, you can see, let's say it has given the effective role. It says senior UX researcher, full stack software architect, corporate communication director. So based on that, you have to define your respective, let's say, role. And what is the goal? That's also very much important. You have to give a very, to the point and elaborated description of the goal of an agent. And you can see there's a backstory, means how the agent is going to work onto this domain, what is the expertise of the agent, what is the perspective of that agent. So that's also comes into the picture. So these three parameters are very much important for you to actually look into it when you are designing an effective AI agent. Now, let us try to understand a bit about the tasks, what are tasks, and how to actually work on those things. So guys, under the core concepts tab, you will see the task thing. So in CrewAI framework, task represents a specific unit of work that an agent need to complete. So tasks can vary in complexity, from simple assignments to highly collaborative actions requiring multiple agents to cooperate. Now, if you break down the key elements which are required to make these tasks, so these are as follows. Now, first, let us try to define what a task. So task, you can consider it as assignment that is carried out by an agent. And we have also written the task.yml file where we have defined our respective task. And each task contain a detailed specification like the description, expected output, and who is the agent responsible to do that task, what are the tools that are required. Let me show you in our respective configuration file. So you can see all over here. So you can see this is the way how we define our respective task file. And let me scroll a little bit for you. Okay. Now you can see all over here that in this we have these respective configuration, like what is a research task, then you have to give description about it, what is the expected outputs, and you have to also define those things, and who is the respective agent to carry out that respective task. So these are the respective parameters that you have to look for. Now while going through all over here, what are types of task execution, if you could see. So first of all, you have something called as sequential, means here the tasks are executed one after the another in a very defined order. And then you have something called as hierarchical task, means these are the tasks which are assigned to the agents based on roles and expertise. Let me give you one good example on that. To research a specific topic using a set of tools and agents, such as gathering information on AI developments for 2026. So that could be the respective thing. Now, next up, you have something called as task attributes. Now, in the task attributes, what you could add all over here. So you can see you have description, you have the expected output, which we have already added in our task.yml file. Then you can also add the name, agent, and tools. So these are kind of optional things which you could have. You can also add the context, which is optional, and what is the async execution. Let's say basically async means whether a task is to be performed asynchronously or not. And if you're not aware about what is an asynchronous process, then I would like you to look a little bit about a specific use case where we discuss, let's say, for example, if we are trying to fetch data from a respective API, then that's an asynchronous process because there is a wait time involved all over there. And when you request something, let's say when you are trying to fetch a data through the API, so we are shooting a request to that respective API and to that respective server, and there might be a wait time involved. So the task does not one by one, so you have to wait in that process. So these kind of process comes under the asynchronous process. And if your respective task requires it to wait, means there is no concurrent execution one by one, and let's say the result of that given response from the API server could be used as a input for another task. So when you have a chain of these respective things, that comes under the async process. So you can add the async execution parameter also, and then you can also add human input parameter. You have Markdown, which is kind of optional. You can also add config. Let's say if you are going through any task specific configuration parameters, and also all over here you can see there is a output file also as one of the respective attributes. Means what is a file path for storing the respective output. Then you can also give how would your output look like. Let's say you can give it in a JSON format. So for that, the attribute is output JSON. So this is a pydantic model structure to the JSON output. So that's the respective thing. And you have something called as guardrails. So this is a function to validate the output before proceeding to the next task. And guardrail max tries. So max a number of retries with guardrail validation fail. So these are the respective things you can look for all over here. Now it says how to create a task. So I have already shown you this is a respective thing, and you could just read these respective YML configurations. So that will be very helpful for you. Now, it also says to use this YML configuration in the code, you need to create a Crew base decorator, and this comes under the crew.py file, which we have created all over here. If you could see, there is one file which already was created, which was crew.py. And here you have to define your respective decorator, which is a crew base. And let's say the given class or its latest AI developments, which is a respective thing you are looking for. What is the agent that will be working? You need to define that, and then you create a method and use the lambda expression all over here, assign it to an agent, give the agent configuration all over here. Similarly, let's say if there is another agent who is working as a reporting analyst, you need to define that decorator and the respective configuration all over here. Similarly, if you could look into this, so here also you need to define the respective task all over here and the respective configurations. Similarly, all over here, if you could see, here you have the respective configurations for repeat. Now guys, finally you need to add a Crew decorator where you can put all of these agents which you have defined, let's say researcher, reporting analyst, and what are their tasks. You need to call the respective task function all over here. And you can also define your task to be sequential or hierarchical. So just define a variable process and add process.sequential. So this is the respective way of building your crew.py file. Now, I hope so you would have got a brief idea regarding this. Now, let us move ahead and try to explore a bit about flows. Now, guys, if you could see, I've already told you that Crew flows are the respective, the decision-making part of your, when you are designing a multi-agent system using CrewAI. And this is one of the most important features where you need to streamline the creation and management of the AI workflows. Now, what are the things that flows offer you? Basically, let's say when you are creating an event-driven architecture, or when you're trying to solve any problem that's kind of event-driven, so you have to use or you have to incorporate flows into your respective architecture. And it just simplifies the way the decision is happening. So in the starting off this given video, I discussed about flows and their impact, how it helps you to achieve a better decision making. When we were discussing about the respective e-commerce scenario where, let's say, a user was trying to find a respective product, and if that product present or in that specific category, let's say for example shoes, let's say he's trying to look for respective Nike shoes all over here, and that respective product is not there, then the flow is going to change to somewhere else. So you need to have a respective flow for triggering the respective events. What will happen when, let's say if it selects A, if it goes to the path A, then this is the respective output. If not A, then this is the respective path the program execution will follow. So flows are somewhere very much similar to the the conditional branching which you have studied in Python, the if else and all the conditional, but this is very specific to the agent based thing. Now why you need to do it, the most important thing is it simplifies your workflow creation. You have a proper state management, you have very flexible architecture or event driven architecture, and also you get a very flexible control flow. You implement logics, loops and branching in your workflow. Let me show you how you could add it up. So from let's say this is a flow that you are trying to create, so make sure from CrewAI flow you import flow, listen and start. Then if you are using any environment variables, then you need to load .env from the .env package, and also light LLM library. From that you need to import completion. And let's say you are building up a respective flow, so you define a class example flow and it inherits the flow library all over here. And let's say the model I'm using is GPT-4o mini, and let's create a decorator called start, and let's say you need to generate a city, let's say the given function which is defined in the documentation. Now you start executing that flow, and each flow of the state automatically gets its unique ID, and after that you create a response variable and you add those respective things. For example, what is a model, and you try to bind this with the model that we are using, so it's already GPT-4o mini, and in the response in respectively in the JSON format you have the role and what is the content. So let's say return the name of the random city in the world. So this is your respective response, and you are imbibing under the completion method. Completion is coming from the light LLM library all over here. So make sure to import that, and then you create a variable random city to store all those responses, and then you just try to add the choices and try to add the message, and basically you are storing the state all over here. Then for example, what is the state of that respective repeat? Now guys, after that you store the city in that respective state and you are trying to return the random city. Now finally after that you call this function to generate the city, and you can see in this function it is started generating it. And after the response, the model, if you could see the self.model, here's your message. Let's say the role is user, content, tell me a fun fact about that respective city, and then you are storing that respective response in the state. And finally you declare a flow variable, and let's say this was an example flow, so we have created this class all over here. You create in the flow and you try to plot it up, and after that you can see the respective flow will be generated all over here. So let's say generate city, generate a random fact about the city. So this is how you actually design the flow while building up your agents, and which is very much important if you want to control a specific use case. Let's say if you are building any agent, or if you're running any multi-agent system where it's trying to solve any problem, as we have discussed about the e-commerce scenario, then you need to be very well versed with the way how the flow is going to happen in your program. So guys, this was about CrewAI. I hope so you would have got a brief idea regarding this. Now make sure to have Python 3.14 installed on your system. Try to download the latest Python, because 1.2 is giving some issues. There might be some things going on. After that, make sure that you have the OpenAI API key. If you don't have, you will not be able to work with CrewAI. And OpenAI API keys are a bit paid, so try to have those things. But it's a very amazing thing when you are trying to build up the multi-agent system. So guys, that was all for today's tutorial. I hope so you would have liked our today's video. And if you like these kind of videos and you want to stay updated in the AI domain, then do not forget to hit the subscribe button and click the notification bell icon, such that you don't miss out any update from our end. Thank you guys for watching this video.